Live from Atlanta, this is the Southeastern Conference Basketball Tournament. Now, the Auburn, South Carolina game.
South Carolina has some really good perimeter players with Melvin Watson and Kerry Rich, and Andy Bostic can shoot the three as well as rebound.
That is really going to be the key to this game, how well South Carolina shoots, because if they shoot a poor percentage, they're in deep trouble today.
That has been their problem. They've had a lot of games that they've shot less than 40% this year. When they shoot better than 40%, they usually win.
When we come back, we'll introduce the starting lineups for today's game. Auburn, with hopes of March Madness dancing in their heads against the Gamecocks.
There's a place in the Big Apple where New Yorkers rush to be on the cutting edge. It's Jean-Louis David. A touch of Paris right in the middle of Manhattan. So if you're looking for a new you, drop in anytime at any of their locations. You don't need an appointment, just your Visa card. Because when it comes to your hair and Jean-Louis David, American Express just won't cut it. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
At Sterling, we've invented a new kind of shower door. More about the giraffe in a moment. This is the Sterling Freestyle. Unlike any shower curtain or sliding door, the Freestyle opens fully with no track below to clean and no track above. Which means no matter how tall you are, you will never bump your head or neck again. This is Sam Davis, Vice Chairman for Sterling. Thank you.
First day, my new boss throws me the keys.
Get it fixed, kid.
So I took it to Charlie. Guy's a real pro.
Let's get the parts.
Charlie says to be the best, you gotta use the best. Like dependable Autolite spark plugs from CarQuest. Autolites are the key to sure starts and smooth running engines.
Relax. It's done. Did you get the car fixed, kid?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you get the parts?
CarQuest?
Welcome to the pros, kid.
What's the difference between the John Deere and the Yardman lawn tractor? About 400 bucks. And a few standard features you won't find on the Deere. Yardman, it costs less, but it has so much more. What's the difference between the Honda and the Yardman lawnmower? About 20,000 Japanese yen. And a few standard features you won't find on the Honda. Yardman, it costs less, but it has so much more.
The Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Tim Brando, along with Barry Booker, Bob Kessling, and Dave Baker. And game 2 of the SEC tournament. Our starting lineups look this way. Ray Donald, Chris Davis. Pat Burke will be in the middle for Auburn. Lance Weems, an outstanding scorer, and he feeds off of Moochie Norris at the point. All for Cliff Ellis. Well, when he took the job, many people wondered, why would you leave Clemson for the Plains of Auburn? Well, now we know, because it's worked out well for both programs, both Clemson and Auburn. And let's take a look at the South Carolina lineup. Andy Bostic, Malik Russell, Peter Van Elswick in the middle with Kerry Rich, and Melvin Watson, who is, I think, underrated. Wouldn't you say, Barry?
Definitely underrated. He's South Carolina's leading scorer.
And Eddie Vogler in his second season. The rebuilding process taking some time. Next year, look out. The numbers will no longer be a problem. He'll have some depth. Today, he needs to get the most out of what he has. His backcourt will need to shoot lights out against Auburn.
At your local True Value, finding someone to help you isn't a problem. Something that just can't be said of those enormous hardware warehouses.
Find them, boys.
Now during True Value's Fresh Start sale, auto-off smart bulbs are just $4.99 each. Automatically shuts off after 30 minutes with a 1-year guarantee. True Value. Help is just around the corner.
Funny thing about March Madness, as more teams drop out, more friends drop in. Fewer teams, more friends. Good thing Pizza Hut has the March Madness meal deal. Buy any large regular price pizza and we'll throw in a dozen free buffalo wings plus a free NCAA tournament guidebook. Because by the time only 2 teams are left, you're gonna
a lot of friends. The March Madness Meal Deal.
So when I turn the key, it sounds like my starter is going bad. And so I figured since I heard about AutoZone, it was as good a place to try as any, right? But get this. I go in there to buy a starter. The guy tells me we need to test my old one first just to make sure that's not the problem. It turns out that it's the solenoid switch. That one little test saved me a big headache. You know, that AutoZone's all right. And when you get service like that, I mean, you don't forget it.
Get a quick word from our Dave Baker patrolling the court there. Dave?
Thanks so much, Tim. You know, a lot of grittiness on this South Carolina team. Not exhibited any better by anyone than Kerry Rich. You take a look, he's played all season with a couple of torn tendons in his right ankle. Most folks wouldn't even be out there, and all he's done the last month of the season is play 38 minutes a game.
And he hopes to survive for yet another day. Thank you, Dave. Tim Brando, along with Barry Booker, ready to get game 2 underway. You see the series records. This is the 15th meeting between the two. South Carolina, of course, spending so much of their time outside the SEC. Now getting to know the fellows from the Plains. And, of course, this man knows a great deal about this league, having been so successful, former Coach of the Year nationally at Vanderbilt, an SEC regular season championship he had just a few years ago. Our officials for game 2, Gerald Boudreau leads up the crew with Tom Lopes and Tom Eaves.
Tournament action. Very exciting here at the Georgia Dome. And the referees usually let you play, and the coaches let you play a little bit more when you get to tournament time, knowing it can be the last game.
South Carolina will use the shot clock on most possessions today. Watson comes up empty. Mucci pushes it in a hurry to Donald. Burke loves to set up those picks up high to free the guards to shoot for Auburn. Many times you'll see different starting lineups depending on matchups where Cliff Ellis is concerned. And the first deuce of the game is a 3. Just beyond the arc for Donald. And the foul will go against Davis.
Auburn, an excellent three-point shooting team. They're 4th in the league at about 37% per game. They do a good job setting up and shooting the three-point shot.
There's the double team of Malik Russell. Watson has it slapped away. Davis deflected it. It will be controlled to South Carolina. Very active defensive team, this Auburn team.
And that's the difference with the Auburn Tigers this year. They really get after you defensively and force a lot of steals. They go for the trap again. Almost came up with that steal on that play.
Gary Rich will launch. And he cans the tray. Back at you, right?
You got it. And Auburn wants South Carolina to take those three-point shots. They want to force the perimeter jumpers from the Gamecocks because South Carolina is not a very good three-point shooting team.
Burke with the soft left hand inside the lane. He's deceptive with his touch. He has excellent hands and will do a lot for you during the course of the game, setting those picks as we earlier mentioned.
He's really playing well lately. Pat Burke doing a good job in the middle for Auburn.
Rich gives the ball fake. The rainbow is kissed off the glass.
Oh my, I'm not sure he was aiming for the glass from that angle, but he gets the deuce. Tough shot.
Weems loves to shoot along the wing. This time goes to Davis.
We're surprised to see South Carolina in the zone.
Mucci with a 3.
And that's why Auburn, an excellent three-point shooting team. I would think South Carolina would play a lot of man-to-man today.
A steal by Norris. Donald gives it up. Davis, a little too much French pastry, and it's taken away by Rich. On the other end, Watson finds Bostic. Just as we mentioned at the top of the show, Bostic a key and a great look from Melvin Watson.
Yeah, beautiful penetration and dish by Melvin Watson. He is outstanding. Just a freshman, but starting at the point position for Eddie Fogler all year long.
Burke, a brick, taken down by Norris. No one rotates over to grab him. And we've got a foul inside. Van Elswick will pick it up. Auburn working the boards nicely.
Pat Burke, that's probably not his shot. He has hit 50% of his threes, but he's only taken 6. And that was an ugly three-point attempt by Pat Burke.
Weems can't get it to go. Saved. Beautiful work by Davis inside. Chris Davis, the junior out of Pensacola Junior College, hails from Lakeland, Florida. 10-8 Auburn lead.
Good hustle play on the other end by Andy Bostic, but you never want to save the ball under your own basket. He that time left Auburn an easy opportunity to score by saving the basketball in.
Auburn always double teaming on those entry passes. Watson, a beautiful scoop to the hoop. Can't get it to fall. Davis clears.
Good penetrator, Watson is.
Mucci, what a look to Burke. Drawing the foul. Just gets it in there so quickly. Sort of a touch pass delivery from the perimeter. Clearly the leader of this team.
And Mucci does it all. He plays the defense, as we mentioned, getting those steals. And he's also third in this league in assists. And look at Pat Burke set up in the lane, so close to the basket. And there's no choice that time for Kerry Rich but the foul.
By the way, I was just thinking, if he has a pro career and ever gets into the backcourt with Mookie, you could have a Mookie-Mucci backcourt. Huh?
Howdy, 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 hey.
Howdy, 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 ho. Yeah. But he's an infectious personality, and off the floor, Cliff Ellis would tell you that it carries over, both on the court and off. He's clearly the leader and a vibrant personality. 12-8, Auburn by 4. Stack is checked into the game. Ryan Stack, the freshman from Chapmansboro, Tennessee.
Stack's a really good shooter. He hasn't developed physically yet, but he's going to be a very good player for South Carolina down the road.
Van Elswick checked out after committing the foul. Out of bounds. It will be South Carolina's ball. The Gamecocks going to their bench early. Big Ryan Stack. They can only go so deep, though, on that Gamecocks bench. Auburn with the lead early.
Went out to buy a car. Dad said good luck. Saw my new Ford Ranger and said, son, that's a truck. My girlfriend loves the new inside. Now all she wants to do is ride. Mom sees the airbag and takes heart. Finally, her boy's getting smart. My best friend pops the hood. Look for horsepower. That's good. Well, my boss says it takes the cake. A truck with anti-lock brakes. So yeah, my Ford Ranger's really hot stuff. Now Dad asks, can I borrow the truck?
There's a lot of shoes in this wall. Better let me help you. After all, I'm always going to be waiting on you at the finish line.
Get there first. How the amazing Brainiac eats a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
Hello, friends. Alan Purnell here. I want to make a point to you about water and country sausage. You know, a good garden needs lots of water to make it grow. Good country sausage doesn't need water. It needs to be made from the ham, shoulders, loins, and bacon, and seasoned with all natural spices. When you buy country sausage, check the ingredients. Here's ours, no water added. Some brands are watered down. Don't buy water. Buy real country sausage. Get Purnell's Old Folks, because it's good.
Attention, injury victims. At Norris & Associates, we fight all the time, and we love it. You see, it takes more than friendly chit-chat to win legal battles. So we scrap and fight to get you as much money as we can, as fast as we can. And you don't pay unless we get you money. Call 264-4000. Norris & Associates. We're always looking for a good fight. That's 264-4000.
SEC basketball is brought to you in part by the Gatorade Company. If you're not standing on the sidelines, you're going to get thirsty. Life is a sport. Drink it up. Tim Brando, Barry Booker. Crowd still filing in here. An outstanding crowd on hand for this day one, session one. And an intimate setting. I spoke of that earlier in the first game with Joe Dean Jr. that by Dome standards, this is a rather intimate setting. Stack can't get it to fall. For some reason, the shot clock goes off a bit late. Burke, a turnaround. Got a nice quick release. Manages to draw the foul inside.
And I think they're going to get Burke over the back on that one.
Yeah, he drew the foul.
Burke trying to use his size advantage inside against Ryan Stack. Unable to get the basket.
That is a very quick turnaround, though, that he has. Deceptive.
Yeah, a real nice ball player. Can go outside and inside.
Stack trying to dump it down. That was a tough pass to make in that position. Leads to the turnover.
The spacing not very good in that situation. They're only about 8 feet apart. There are too many hands in there, and Auburn gets the steal.
William Unseld, number 30 in the game now for South Carolina. He was the intended receiver of that poor pass from Stack. Here's Burke again working the offensive board. Gets the roll.
And Auburn is killing South Carolina on the offensive glass. They have 4 offensive rebounds already. And South Carolina does not have a rebound of any variety to this point.
Burke has 6 points for the Tigers. 14-8 our score. Gary Rich off the dribble. Williams brings it down. Franklin Williams, the freshman in the game, number 44 in white. Giving a screen here for Ray Donald. Flanagan, Wes Flanagan turns it over.
A little too much on that pass to Franklin Williams. A little too much heat on that.
Bostic gets it down along the blocks to Unseld, who gives it up. Stutter step from Watson helps set up that perimeter jumper, but it won't go. And there's a foul. Will go against Unseld.
Melvin Watson with a penetration move again, setting up Kerry Rich for the jumper. And Watson has done a great job stepping into that point guard position. Kerry Rich has done a pretty good job adjusting to playing the shooting guard this year. Had a little bit of a tough time early in the year when he was asked to move over to the shooting guard, but he's getting used to it.
Malik Russell back into the game as Wes Flanagan penetrates. And another whistle. This one will go against Malik Russell. That's his first.
Nice penetration move by Flanagan, and the hand check by Malik Russell. He gets caught.
Norris, who can take on more of the shooting guard role when Flanagan's on the floor and Auburn goes small. 17-8. Good look. Russell finds Rich on the break.
And South Carolina may be the best team in this league at breaking pressure and attacking the basket, scoring points when the other team presses them.
This game has taken on an Auburn pace. Something I'm sure Eddie Fogler is concerned with early.
Getting up and down. Auburn may want to go away from that full court press, though. South Carolina will score again.
On the drive, Donald manages to draw the foul from Malik Russell. His second.
His second personal foul and 15th foul.
Foul trouble can be a factor for both these teams. Both teams play 7, maybe 8 players. Malik Russell picking up his second foul could be trouble for the Gamecocks.
Ryan Steich sits down. Van Ellswick back into the game. And also Jim Costner has come into the game for Auburn. Number 3 in white. Williams, Franklin Williams muscles one up there. Taken down by Melvin Watson.
Franklin Williams, big, strong, small power forward for Auburn.
Unseld off the dribble. He has really played well. If you ask people in Columbia, how did South Carolina do it with the numbers problem they were having? They were really struggling at midseason. Most would point to William Unseld as a player who's really developed in the last month.
The last 12 games, he's averaging nearly 10 points a game and has been very solid.
Moochie Norris. 20-12, Auburn by 8.
Moochie has it going, 9 points already. 3 3-pointers in the first 8 minutes.
Gary Rich answers for the three-pointer. How many times do you see it? One guard hits a three, the other one says, I'm going to get it the next time down.
You can do it, I can do it.
8 minutes deep into this game, Auburn by 5.
You mentioned, Tim, playing to Auburn's pace. A lot of points going up on the board, and that is certainly to Auburn's advantage.
Almost every pass leads to a high pick from Auburn. Donald, hands one. Just have a great rhythm on the offensive end. They know their roles, don't they?
Absolutely. You won't see Auburn take very many bad shots at all, and most of the guys on the court can shoot out to the three-point line.
Watson called for steps. 11:21 remaining in the first half. Auburn's lead is 7.
Okay, I'm out on the road talking to cars about BP Super 93. You use BP 93 Super.
BP 93 Super. When you put it in me, I run smooth. But when you use that other stuff, boom, 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 boom.
I run better. I run better. I run a lot better.
If you're running clean and burning clean, you're going to last longer than if you're not, just like the arteries in a person.
Good analogy. Well, there you have it. 9 out of 10 cars, when asked, recommend BP Super 93. BP on the move.
Inside every one of us is an athlete with a thirst for the game going on around us. It's life, and if you play hard at it, you get thirsty. That's why we make Gatorade. Hey, life is a sport. Drink it up.
Once a year, Heilig Myers brings its gigantic national furniture sale right to your door. Get this wrought iron look poster bed in full or queen just $99. And get your mattress on sale now during the world's largest bedding sale. And this 3-piece shaker style bedroom proof in hunter green and cherry finish is just $5.99 for dresser, mirror, and full or queen size bed. Come to Heilig Myers National Furniture Sale and ring up the savings.
We're Heilig Myers. Here's another MCI proof positive instant replay.
Moochie Norris getting it done so far for Auburn. 3 for 3 from the three-point line, and that's proof positive that the Auburn Tigers rely very heavily on that three-point shot. About more than a third of their field goals come from three-point range.
You can't get enough Moochie on the plains of Auburn. You see the three-point story, 4 out of 6, and Moochie, of course, with 3 of those for Auburn, and South Carolina not bad themselves. But again, if you're Eddie Fogler, I think you're more concerned not with your offense, but the speed of your offense, because you sometimes can play right into the opponent's hands.
Yeah, we're on about a 100-point pace here for this ball game, and South Carolina is not really capable of scoring that many points. So you'd expect South Carolina to try and slow it down a little bit, and they're going to need to do it with defense. Slow down Moochie and the Tigers of Auburn.
Lance Weems back in the lineup. Costner joins Davis, Norris, and Flanagan on the floor for the Tigers. Moochie pops out. Good overplay defensively by Unseld to take that one away.
Unseld slipped right around Chris Davis to get that steal.
That'll be a push on Costner. His first. Senior out of Rossville, Georgia. Through the junior college route. Cliff Ellis, who's gotten the most out of all of his talent. Think about it, a potpourri of different types of players that he's molded together as a fine unit, playing with purpose this season.
Just done a super job. Really, Auburn a mirror image of South Carolina. Both teams play 7 or 8 guys.
That'll be a foul, a push going against Andy Bostic. senior out of Florence, South Carolina, picks up his first foul.
Malik Russell was in the neighborhood on that play. Very fortunate for South Carolina that Russell doesn't pick up his third foul.
Auburn spreads the floor. Motion offense. Costner wide open. They'll give him that shot. Davis almost had the tip. And the push will go against Unseld.
I really like Chris Davis. He really makes a lot of things happen. He leads Auburn in rebounding, as you see him here, getting great position. But he also has fouled out of 7 games, which leads Auburn, and has 73 turnovers, also leads Auburn. So he makes a lot of things happen out there. Some good, some bad.
Eddie Fogler working the officials early. Talking to Tom Eads right now. I don't think he really cared for that travel call prior to the break just a few moments ago, and he's getting his licks in.
Very experienced coach, knows what he's doing over there working those officials.
24-15. Weems with a near steal. This will be a steal. The pressure of Auburn taking its toll on South Carolina. Weems, tough pass.
Again, the spacing. Weems got too close to Davis to make that pass properly. Leads to the turnover.
Malik Russell dumps it to Van Elswick on the wing. Pretty good look that time by South Carolina.
Nice touch by Van Elswick. Nearly a 60% shooter. A nice job stepping out to knock down that little 12, 15-foot shot.
His first 2 of the game. Auburn's lead is 7. That's a walk. Costner frustrated.
Costner didn't establish his pivot foot right when he caught the basketball. That's what caused that walk call.
5 team fouls now against Auburn. The announcers for today's game selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Jefferson Pilot Sports is prohibited. I think I may have said 5. I meant to say 5 turnovers now by Auburn. Flanagan picks up the foul. That'll be a block against Watson.
Watson broke that pressure defense on his own, split the double team, and just fired right down the court for South Carolina that time.
Van Elswick, oh, that was a good head fake, and he draws the foul from Burke. It all initiated with that nice head fake given by Peter Van Elswick.
Yeah, beautiful move by Van Elswick. A little up fake, and he's going to go baseline. Nice job. And then trying to finish as Lance Weems comes over to slow him down a little bit. Burke gets the foul.
Out of Hamilton, Ontario. Peter Van Elswick has a distinction in South Carolina. Pretty interesting, really, when you think about it, as you see Eddie Fogler chatting on the sidelines with Malik Russell. Van Elswick, the first South Carolina player since Alex English to start every game as a freshman. I mean, when you put it, anytime you can have that kind of stat next to your name, regardless of the circumstances under which you start, you'll take that.
Tell your kids and grandkids about it, too.
Davis. You're right, he's very active. And the foul will go against Stack.
You see Ryan Stack needs to put some sand in his pockets as he's coming at Chris Davis, and there's body contact, and Stack goes flying and also gets the foul. Chris Davis, a very, very strong player, and strong going to the basket.
One of the things that really bothers me about the college game today, after a guy bricks a free throw, somebody comes over and gives a high five.
Yeah.
That bothers me. What is Moochie saying to him? Hey, Nice brick.
Saying, hey, come on, make this one. Make this one.
25-17. You see it often. Even in the pros, you see it.
High five for everything.
Yeah. Van Elswick runs into a double team. A power move by Peter Van Elswick. He wanted a foul.
Little up fake again. Fools Pat Burke, and Van Elswick gets a basket. Van Elswick only averaging 5 points a game, but can score a little bit, as he's proven.
Off the ball, Davis draws the foul. In that mismatch, Melvin Watson picks up the personal, his second. And the fouls are really beginning to add up on the Gamecocks. As you mentioned, that would be of great concern to Eddie Vogler.
Here's Van Elswick again with that little power move, and in the finish, a lot of contact on that play, but Van Elswick banks it home. Great concentration.
Many times in the games today that we see, if the offensive player initiates the contact, it is a no call. I've seen that many, many times. He wanted to get the hoop and the foul, but it does constitute no call, more so than not.
And if there had been a call on that play, Chris Davis had set up. He had his hand straight up in the air, so that should have been a foul on Van Elswick if it goes against anyone.
Davis answers on the other end with the free throw.
Here's the Auburn full court press. They really move that press down the court. South Carolina breaks it easily this time.
Watson. Nice elevation for Melvin Watson for the tray. His first basket. South 27-22. Donald rejected by Van Elswick.
Van Elswick playing the game today. Donald got it in there and seemed a little hesitant as to what to do with it. Van Elswick throws it out of there. Good job by Peter Van Elswick. South Carolina shooting extremely well today. Shooting those three-pointers very well. Good sign for them.
Flanagan wanted to take that shot. Lance Weems will. Burke on the offensive glass. Van Elswick, a workaholic down there today. Clears to Melvin Watson. Nice crossover and a look to Rich. Crisp passing by South Carolina. Unsell. They don't finish, but that was an awfully good sequence.
Melvin Watson had a layup. Really should have taken that shot instead of kicking it out to Rich. I think he surprised everyone by throwing that pass.
Rich finally picks it up. I like the energy in South Carolina.
Really hustling, and a good decision that time by Kerry Rich. Had the numbers, had he picked the ball up cleanly, but then it became a 2-on-3 situation in Auburn's favor, and he made a good decision to pull it out.
Auburn feasting on the boards, 14 rebounds to only 2 for South Carolina. But their lead is only 5, 27-22. Burke took steps. Van Elswick really putting the body on him. And he's frustrating Pat Burke at this point in the game. 27-22 our score. 6:42 until halftime.
Did you ever wonder what life is like on other planets? Like maybe there's this world where everybody can slam dunk? And everyone gets a Ford Ranger just for being born. Or there's a planet where nothing costs more than $1 and your biggest decision is what color probe to drive. Maybe there's a world where everybody's job is just to go to the beach and you get a Mustang convertible as a company car. Ford. Cool cars for a cool planet.
There are no blue ribbons for doing the little things. No tributes for just keeping your sense of humor. But the men who give their best every day deserve our best. Gillette Series Shaving Gel with advanced lubricants for incredible smoothness, Sensor Excel with microfins, and Gillette Aftershave Conditioner for extra comfort. Together, Gillette's best shave. And sometimes that's its own reward. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Make mine Conecuh. You'll hear that from sausage lovers everywhere. They're talking about Conecuh hickory smoked sausage. That southern flavor is a great way to start off your day or top off any meal. And fresh off the grill Conecuh sausage makes a great appetizer, as well as crowd-pleasing sausage dogs. Quality meat, natural casings, and real hickory smoked flavor are 3 reasons why I love Conecuh, a real winner since 1947.
Here's Melvin Watson, the lightning-quick freshman guard for South Carolina, with a great move down the middle. He gets to the basket and doesn't take that shot. Pat Burke kind of intimidated him, made him pass it out, but South Carolina still ends up with a good opportunity, but they can't finish. Not able to get those easy opportunities down, and it's holding them down here early.
As a guard, you know many times when you use that crossover dribble to give yourself an opportunity at an easy look, if you pass that up, you may not get a better one. In this case, Eddie Fogler did see his team continue to work the sequence positively, although they did not finish.
Yeah, that penetration forces the defense to scramble, and sometimes you can end up with the defense getting out of position and some easy opportunities.
Auburn winning the board battle. Watson gets it done. He has 5, 27-24. But for South Carolina, shooting better than 50% usually means good things are going to happen to you.
And I think it will if South Carolina continues to shoot the ball this well. Melvin Watson, a very impressive guard. Looks like he can take the ball anywhere on the court he wants to for South Carolina.
Davis shoots it over to Weems on the wing. Lance Weems struggling with his perimeter jumper. And again, Watson in the open floor. This is where he really thrives. Unseld gets a quality look. Doesn't go down. Cleared by Chris Davis. The outlet to Donald.
Good defensive job by Ray Donald to put a little pressure on Unseld as he was trying to squeeze off that pull-up jumper.
Davis again. Boy, you are right on about this guy. He makes a lot of positive things happen for your team down low.
And reminiscent of some 6'4", 6'5" power forwards of the past for Auburn.
Absolutely. I think of Aaron Swinson most recent last year. Unseld. Russell there to follow. Pulled down by Davis. Lance Weems is 0 for 3 in the game, and somehow they need to get him on track. And Ray Donald cans a tray.
Ray Donald wide open on the wing. I think South Carolina was confused as to whether they were in man-to-man or zone defense that time.
Look at that move by Watson. He is super. That'll be a push on Weems.
Melvin Watson's confidence has developed so much as the season has gone on. He started every game this year for South Carolina and really does a great job penetrating into the lane. Now you see Chris Davis going baseline around William Unseld, just leaves him standing with a reverse layup.
Melvin Watson's a completely different player from the one I saw back at the end of January. I mean, it's amazing the difference in his game.
I think we had that game together, South Carolina and Alabama, and Melvin Watson has really improved, taken over a leadership role for South Carolina, and has become the team's leading scorer at 24 against Tennessee last Saturday.
Bostic. Davis brings it down, playing big. Lucci Norris gives it up. Oh, good look to Williams from Wes Flanagan. Push, push, push. That's what Auburn just did.
And that's what they love to do, get in transition, use those athletes, go into the basket.
The lead is back to 10, 34-24. South Carolina had cut it to 3 just moments ago.
Yeah, South Carolina had slowed it down. Auburn had not scored for a while, and all of a sudden they get 5 quick ones.
Davis gets his hand in there again, but it's deflected off Ray Donald and belongs to South Carolina. Timeout, 3:46 remaining in the opening half. This has been a very entertaining game. Both teams with a playoff atmosphere. It is tournament time in Atlanta.
What if I told you everything you know about TV is about to change? Because now,
There's DirecTV, totally digital television. More movies, more sports, more of what I want than ever before. All through a tiny satellite dish about the size of a small pet. Stay. With digital quality video and CD sound, everything's gonna look great. How does DirecTV work? I have no idea, but it does. Get your DSS 18-inch dish and DirecTV at your RCA dealer.
Funny thing about March Madness, as more teams drop out, more friends drop in. Fewer teams, more friends. Good thing Pizza Hut has the March Madness meal deal. Buy any large regular price pizza and we'll throw in a dozen free buffalo wings plus a free NCAA tournament guidebook. Because by the time only 2 teams are left, you're gonna have a lot of friends. The March Madness meal deal.
What's the difference between the John Deere and the Yardman lawn tractor? About $400. And a few standard features you won't find on the Deere. Yardman. It costs less, but it has so much more. What's the difference between the Honda and the Yardman lawnmower? About 20,000 Japanese yen. And a few standard features you won't find on the Honda. Yardman. It costs less, but it has so much more.
Take the Gillette 3-Point Challenge. To enter, look for Gillette coupons in last Sunday's newspaper or Gillette displays at participating retailers. It's your shot at $1 million. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Tim Brando, Barry Booker, Bob Kessling will be along at halftime, and Dave Baker joins us as our courtside reporter for the Southeastern Conference Tournament. We're happy to have you with us. This is game 2 of the afternoon session. Vanderbilt the winner earlier today over LSU. On the glass, Auburn has been out battling South Carolina, but to the Gamecocks' credit, Van Elswick and others have done a pretty good job defending against Cliff Ellis's team. South Carolina's last field goal almost 3 minutes ago as they hit a brief drought. Tad Burton checking back into the game, and Franklin Williams sits down.
South Carolina is playing pretty well. They trail by 10, but really there are too many points going on the board. Auburn with 34 points already. Only 3 minutes left. Still 3 minutes left in the first half.
Rich had to commit that foul. Otherwise, Moochie would have a breakaway. Yeah, it's the tempo that's gotten away from South Carolina. Beyond that, they have played rather well.
Auburn with their defensive pressure forcing you to play a faster tempo.
Stack sits down. Van Elswick comes back into the game. See the free throw story. Auburn getting there more often. Board control has a lot to do with that.
Now, Auburn has just been more active in really every phase of the ball game so far, and dominant on the rebounding.
Well, you talk about an attitude. Many times you talk about the city guards from New York. In Moochie Norris's case, he's out of Washington, D.C. And there's Davis again. Very, very active.
Chris Davis with 10 rebounds and 11 points already. Coming off the bench for Auburn today. Doing a great job.
Watson, a pull-up. Even if the Auburn low post doesn't get the rebound, they keep it alive for one of the active guards to run down.
Malik Russell hustled, got in good position, but couldn't come up with the basketball.
Davis, look at Donald explode to the basket for the offensive rebound. He didn't come up with it, but that activity is really what's bothering this South Carolina team.
Yeah, you have to love the hustle and the athleticism of the Auburn Tigers. And here they are in a little three-quarter court trap.
There's this kind of trap that was the beginning of the end of Dale Brown's Tigers today in the first game. And there is Kerry Rich. Another wealthy three-pointer from Kerry. 37-27.
Wealthy Rich.
And that ends the 4-minute drought with South Carolina from the floor. Burke with an answer.
Auburn providing the answers all afternoon. They're really scoring points. 39 points already in the first half.
Van Elswick double teamed. And the foul. It'll go against Ray Donald. First foul on Donald. Team fouls have been way up there early and often in today's game. Teams have been in the bonus for some time. 1-1 coming from Van Elswick.
South Carolina taking the ball inside on that trip. Van Elswick has been very effective down low today.
On the offensive glass, Malik Russell keeping it alive.
I think an Auburn player batted that basket in.
Yep, but Russell kept it alive and is credited with a hoop. 39-29. Flanagan over Rich. Davis keeping it alive yet again. Out of bounds to Auburn.
Rich Davis once again getting a hand on the basketball and helping Auburn retain possession.
Speaking earlier about Lucci being from D.C., he plays with that kind of attitude, doesn't he? I'm in control type guard.
And a lot of confidence.
Norris played at Odessa. So many collegiate guards that have come into this league have been successful first at the junior college level. Chucky Evans comes to my mind, formerly of Mississippi State. Very successful at that level before coming in to the SEC.
Latrell Sprewell, Alabama has had a few guys go the junior college route.
Flanagan with 5 on the shot clock. Gives it up to Burke. The runner won't go, and Van Elswick brings it down. A steal by Donald. Taps it to Davis. Just a great play by Ray Donald.
South Carolina has a great defensive sequence, force a terrible shot from Auburn, get the rebound, and then just turn it right back over. Auburn is active, and they never let you rest.
41-29, the lead is 12. Largest of the game for the Tigers. Watson and Rich line up beyond the arc. Bostic has been quiet today. Watson a jump stop. Russell a tip. Van Elswick keeping it alive. Peter Van Elswick playing with purpose and draws the foul.
And Malik Russell also hustling after that basketball again on the offensive glass. South Carolina finally starting to get it going a little bit on the glass.
Lucci Norris picking up the foul on the reach.
Number 44, Peter Van Elswick.
Van Elswick at the line. Over 3 at the stripe. And the problems continue at the line.
South Carolina sends in number 30, Willie Munson.
South Carolina not getting to the line that often, so anytime they have the opportunity, they need to take advantage of it. And Russell leaves the game in favor of William Unseld.
South Carolina struggles so much scoring points. Foul shooting is an area where they can help. That can help you get a few more points on the board.
Lance Weems checks back into the game, and Wes Flanagan sits down. 20 seconds remaining in the half. Auburn by 11.
South Carolina in man-to-man defense. And Auburn setting up a play out of their box set.
Lucci's coming at you. Pretty good defense by Bostic, but there's Davis again, finding Burke.
Beautiful execution to end the half for Auburn. They get the switch, find Chris Davis on the block, and as the help comes over, Davis delivers to Burke.
What hasn't this team done well? Auburn is doing simply everything the way Cliff Ellis would like.
They have been superb here in the first half. Shooting it well, playing good defense. Great job by the Tigers.
They lead by a baker's dozen at the break, 43-30. Bob Kessling coming up along with Dave Baker as our halftime activities get underway in Atlanta.
Today's SEC action is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Purnell Old Folks Country Sausage, because it's good. By DirecTV. Stay tuned at halftime when Dick Vitale presents the DirecTV Dish Out the Winner Sweepstakes. By La Quinta Inns. Why aren't you here? And by Pizza Hut. You'll love the stuff we're made of.
Yeah, life's competitive, all right. Win or lose, doesn't matter. It's how you look at the finish line.
Get there
First. We made history on the American road. Now we're looking to the future. Introducing the new Ford Explorer. The only leading compact sport utility with standard dual airbags. The one with the roomiest interior. And the one that was ranked highest compact sport utility in initial quality. The new Ford Explorer. Far and away, the best the world has to offer.
When you're working hard, you can be in all kinds of pain.
Power, BC Power.
The same BC that stops headache pain stops all kinds of pain.
BC Power in the power. Power of BC.
When you're in a world of hurt, nothing stops pain faster than BC.
The power of BC.
When you grow up in the American Southwest, once a day you feel a soul-shaking sense of awe. And there's another feeling you get when the sun disappears. You're scared out of your ever-loving mind. Or maybe that's what inspired La Quinta to make their inn so friendly. Outside, they're lit up against the night sky. And inside, a soft splash is about the only sound you'll hear. Shh. La Quinta Inns. Why aren't you here?
New Nutrageous from Reese's. Peanuts, milk chocolate, caramel, Reese's peanut butter. New Nutrageous. Give your mouth a party.
Not all of our goals are 10 feet high. Achieving success also means building strong families. That's why I support the United Way-funded Fayetteville Youth Center. Here, parents find a safe place where their kids learn positive values that will shape their lives. And that gives them a shot at a future. And that's more than just a shot in the dark.
The SEC and United Way teaming up to make a difference.
The SEC, 12 great schools with a history of excellence on the field, the court, and in the classroom. That's why we at Golden Flake are proud to be a corporate sponsor of the SEC in its activities like youth clinics and academic and scholarship programs. Golden Flake and the SEC, two traditions that give life in the South its unique flavor. Golden Flake, the favorite chip of the Southeastern Conference.
The Health South Sports Medicine Team helps SEC athletes spend less time on the sidelines and more time winning championships.
12 schools of the Southeastern Conference have a tradition mixing academics and athletics. The players on the Health South team are proud to support those 12 schools in their academic and scholarship programs, their youth clinics, and drug education.
Health South, healthcare provider for the championships of the Southeastern Conference and a proud sponsor of the SEC. The Health South Sports Medicine Network.
Our nationwide insurance SEC scholar athlete is Roman Rodchenko of the LSU Tigers. The junior from the Ukraine has a 2.71 GPA in international trade and finance. This is the second consecutive season that Rodchenko has been selected by his university for this honor. Roman Rodchenko of the LSU Tigers, our nationwide insurance SEC scholar athlete. And here at the second game, the intermission, it is Auburn and South Carolina, with Auburn leading 43-30. Interesting that Lance Weems, the leading scorer for Auburn, has not scored in the game, but Chris Davis has really picked up the slack as Davis, very impressive first half, 13 points, unofficially 12 rebounds to lead Auburn to the first half advantage. Our first score today in our game was Vanderbilt over LSU by a score of 85-61. Dave Baker now is standing by with a guest who is observing all the talent here at the SEC tournament.
You're right, Bob. Plenty of talent. Mike Dunleavy, head coach, general manager of the Milwaukee Bucks. What brings you to Atlanta?
Well, the opportunity to see 8 teams, you know, in one day is as little as I get a chance to get out. This month is, crazy for me. So I'm here today watching all these games, and then we play the Washington Bullets tomorrow, and then Saturday I'll either be back here or at the ACC checking out some more games.
How difficult is that for you to wear both hats as head coach and general manager?
Well, at times it's very time-consuming, but so far we think it's gone fairly well. I enjoy getting out and seeing the players. I'm young enough to where it hasn't worn me down, worn me out yet, but we'll see how it goes in time.
One final thing, these reports coming out about Michael Jordan today maybe coming back. What would that do to the league?
I think it'd be great for the league. I think Michael's a tremendous talent. He's got a great image. He's what the game is all about. If he decides to come back, I'm all for it.
All right, that's Mike Dunleavy, head coach, general manager of the Milwaukee Bucks, checking out the talent here this weekend in Atlanta, Bob.
All right, Dave, thanks a lot. Of course, the Hawks played here last night. They've got a game against the Knicks on Friday, so lots of basketball in Atlanta. Here's a look at the Chrysler Plymouth SEC standings. Kentucky, of course, the overall champion, as they were 22-4, 14-2 in the SEC. You see Georgia and Florida, both teams trying to win their way into the NCAA tournament here this weekend in Atlanta. Over in the West, it was a battle between Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Alabama. Arkansas, of course, takes it 12-4 overall, 25-5 for the defending NCAA champions. That's a look at our Chrysler Plymouth SEC standings. At halftime, it is Auburn leading here in our second game against South Carolina. Back with more in just a moment.
Inside every one of us is an athlete with a thirst for the game going on around us. It's life, and if you play hard at it, you get thirsty. That's why we make Gatorade. Hey, life is a sport. Drink it up.
Here on the Outback, we play our own brand of football. Outback rules. No sidelines. No time limits. No telling which way the boomerang will bounce. Just the ultimate goal. Great steak. Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
Advance Auto Parts presents part number 23, the foot. Advance Auto Parts salespeople come equipped with 2 feet capable of propelling them out the door to your car.
Seems like I'm feeling every bump in the road.
Step by step, your car is inspected. With your problem understood, it's just a short walk back to the parts department. At Advance Auto Parts, no one sits around on part number 41. Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people.
Hi, I'm Dan Horton, and I want to tell you a few ways you can get turned down for credit at Perry Hill Automobile Company. You can say bad things about my mom, you can be past due with all your current creditors, or you can simply not have enough down payment. Other than that, we're very flexible. We want to put you on wheels, and we know life's not always a bowl of cherries. If you pay your bills, we'll finance your next car. It's that simple. That's Perry Hill Automobile Company, just south of the VA Hospital on Perry Hill Road.
The winner of this game gets Kentucky tomorrow. Right now, Auburn is leading South Carolina at halftime by a score of 43-30. Vanderbilt has already won its way into the quarterfinals as Vanderbilt, very impressive today, beating LSU 85-61. Ronnie McMahon had 28 points to lead Vanderbilt to the victory. Now time to look at the Jefferson Pilot scoreboard. We'll get you updated on what else is going on around the country. This is, of course, tournament week. The Big East tournament will find St. John's and Pittsburgh tonight in their first round action, and Seton Hall goes up against Boston College. Also in the ACC tournament, one game tonight. It'll be the Duke Blue Devils against the NC State Wolfpack. That's our Jefferson Pilot scoreboard. Here the scoreboard reads Auburn on top of South Carolina. Second half getting set, and we'll be back to the Georgia Dome. And again, Auburn on top by 13 at the break against the Gamecocks.
The new Chrysler Cirrus has an advanced 24-valve V6. Its cab-forward design conveniently provides room for 5 and a vast array of new technology. It has dual airbags and advanced rail-through construction for superior handling and quietness. Chrysler Cirrus. While its name is derived from the heavens, one of the best reasons to own one is very down to earth. Chrysler Cirrus. Motor Trend's Car of the Year. It's not just a step above. It's the new plateau.
What you gonna catch with that, Pop?
The big one!
It's the biggest splash of the year. Sony's Seafood Celebration. 5 new seafood dinners. Try our New Orleans shrimp, sourdough breaded scallops, blackened cod, or shrimp scampi. But you'd better hurry. These fish are flying.
That'd be a keeper.
Television of the future? I've got it now. DirecTV. It's movies, hit movies, tons of movies. It's like browsing in a video store right in your living room and always finding what you want. Ooh. The hit movies I want start every 30 minutes. Now, for just $2.99 each, the movies come to me. All digital, so I can get a great picture with CD sound. That never happened before. For more movies, sports, and cable networks, get your DSS 18-inch dish and DirecTV at your RCA dealer.
First, I figured I'd forgotten where I'd parked. And then I knew. I called my husband, the police, and Ken, my nationwide insurance agent.
Willie was upset. You don't get your car stolen every day.
2 days later, my car showed up.
Broken windows, scratches, I mean, nothing major.
It wasn't a pretty sight, but the check sure was. Ken got it to me the next day.
Helping someone, it's a good feeling. That's why I'm a nationwide agent.
Nationwide is on your side.
Dish out the winners, presented by DirecTV.
Okay, baby, let's dish out the winners. I'm going to look into my crystal ball, see what teams will be invited to the DirecTV Grade A Festival. Looking deep into my crystal ball, the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest with that great scorer, Randolph Childress. Now, you can dish out the winners, too, by entering the DirecTV Dish Out the Winners sweepstakes. Send a postcard with the 8 teams that you think might be invited to the DirecTV Grade A Festival, and you might win these prizes.
Let's take a look at our Advanced Auto Parts Smart Play of the Week. Kentucky taking on Ole Miss. The Rebels missed the shot. The Wildcats will rebound it and start the break. Roderick Rhodes and Tony Delk show exactly how to run 2-on-1. Delk gets the bucket and the foul. Let's take another look at this smart play. The ball touches the floor only once. That's textbook execution of the 2-on-1 break. Our Advanced Auto Parts Smart Play of the Week.
Back at the Georgia Dome, it is Auburn leading 43-30 at halftime. The Tigers broke it open. It was 27-24, and then Auburn went on a 10-0 run to open things up. More impressively, the fact Auburn's done it without Lance Weems, their leading scorer, who is yet to score in this game. Auburn leads it by 13 to call the second half. Let's go back down to Tim Brando and Barry Booker.
Thanks, Bob, and you're very accurate that Weems not getting off in the first half meant that Moochie Norris and Chris Davis were doing a lot of positive things, and that's really the difference in this game. Their control of the glass, Chris Davis doing all kinds of positive work down low. As you look at the numbers, Barry, they certainly tell that story.
Chris Davis already has 11 rebounds. He's almost out-rebounding South Carolina by himself. And Auburn doing a nice job with their shot selection, shooting 50%, really dominating this game in every area.
Tempo control definitely with the Auburn Tigers. South Carolina has been shooting the ball well, short of that one drought during that 10-0 run. Melvin Watson playing very well.
Yeah, Melvin Watson making it happen. A nice little pull-up jumper right there. But the Auburn Tigers really doing it on the offensive boards. Chris Davis with 5 offensive rebounds and 11 total.
When we come back, the second half from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Game 2 of the Southeastern Conference Tournament first round.
Okay, I'm at BP talking to cars about Super 93. So how do you feel?
Oh, much cleaner, refreshed.
You feel cleaner?
We don't have all of that garbage that goes up through the fuel injectors.
Keeps the fuel injectors a lot cleaner. You know, it's better for the engine.
You want me to show you how I run when I had a 93 Hemi?
Yes.
Just that smooth.
Well, there you have it. 9 out of 10 cars, when asked, recommend BP Super 93. BP on the move.
I purr like a kitten.
That's great.
My store is my life. I've given it everything. To me, there's nothing else like it.
At Nationwide Insurance, we believe that every business is different. Each one has its own needs. You have to
They've helped me with my home and car insurance, so I knew he could develop a plan to protect my business.
And the last thing Bob needs to worry about is insurance. That's my job.
Nationwide is on your side.
It's happening. Only America's hottest car company could have a sale like this. The National Chrysler Plymouth sale is here. Get up to $1,200 off the friendly Plymouth Neon. Over $1,800 off the luxury family sedan Chrysler Concorde. And over $1,800 off the luxurious Chrysler New Yorker. Now's the time to save like never before. But it won't last long. The National Chrysler Plymouth sale. Only at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Once a year, Heilig Myers brings its gigantic national furniture sale right to your door. Choose from a wide selection of elegant sofas, like this overstuffed contemporary, just $3.99. Looking for something else? Heilig Myers National Furniture Sale features all kinds of styles, all kinds of colors, for all kinds of budgets. Come to Heilig Myers National Furniture Sale and ring up the savings.
We're Heilig Myers.
Jefferson Pilot Sports' exclusive coverage of SEC basketball is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the Nationwide agent nearest you. By Plymouth Neon. Say hello to the frisky new Plymouth Neon Sports Coupe. By BC Powder. No matter where you're hurting, nothing works faster than BC Powder. By DirecTV, sponsor of the DirecTV Grade 8. And by MCI, the company that brings you Proof Positive.
Tim Brando, Barry Booker, happy to have you with us for the second half of Game 2 of the Southeastern Conference Tournament. From the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, South Carolina and Auburn. Tigers leading by 13 as we start the second half.
South Carolina really needs to get off to a good start here in the second half.
Yeah, you remember how quickly Vanderbilt took the game right away from LSU in the opening moments of the second half. The bleeding never stopped. LSU was down by 5, wound up being blown out. And an easy one that gets away from Bostic. He has struggled a bit in today's game.
Good for South Carolina. Kerry Rich with 13 points. The only one that was really effective in the first half.
Flanagan. Davis again on the offensive glass, and he draws the foul from Melvin Watson.
That little pick and roll play that Auburn is running has been very effective against South Carolina. The Gamecocks are unsure exactly how to defend that and who needs to take the guy with the basketball, and then Chris Davis gets great position down inside to get the offensive rebound.
Davis at the line for the Tigers, shooting 2.
Davis at the line to shoot 2. He is 5 out of 6 at the line today. 12 rebounds. 3 nice assists as well. Eddie Fogler, if you're going to get him, you better get him now, because next year it's going to be a tough ticket in Columbia.
And this league is really coming on strong, and it's because of good coaches like the two we have in this matchup here, Eddie Fogler and Cliff Ellis.
His recruiting efforts have led to South Carolina being rated in the top 5 in the country. Bostic on the wing.
Nice pass from Peter Van Elswick, delivering the Bostic for the jumper.
45-32. Norris. Burke not where he needed to be to corral that pass. Bostic, it's pretty obvious that Eddie Fogler wants to get him involved in this offense here in the second half. Still not falling for him, and Davis brings it down.
Another strong rebound by Chris Davis.
Donald. Malik Russell is hacked by Burke. 2 on Pat Burke.
Auburn foul on number 31.
South Carolina trying to find some offense right now. Andy Bostic has taken 3 shots already. I think the only 3 shots that South Carolina has had here in the second half.
A little lazy pass there from Melvin Watson.
And Bostic didn't come to meet the basketball. Melvin Watson, the freshman, teaching the senior, Andy Bostic, that he needs to come back to meet the pass.
He splits the double team and draws yet another foul against Burke. That's his third. It's interesting, you saw that. He was telling him to please come up. It happened right in front of Eddie Fogler, and Fogler was quick to point out to Watson, okay, we'll take care of that. That's not a problem. You know, I'm the coach. He's a senior. You're a freshman.
Yes.
We don't mind you leading, but just don't be that vocal, especially in front of me. Right?
No need to upstage the seniors. And, of course, Eddie Fogler coming out of the Dean Smith, North Carolina system, where being a senior really means something.
Ray Donald trying to check Bostic, and they are making every effort to give him the ball, and we've got another foul off the ball.
Auburn bumping the Cutters as they move through the lane, and Wes Flanagan got caught hitting Kerry Rich that time as Rich came off a screen.
Franklin Williams also was involved in that. Franklin picking up the foul. 45-32. Still a 13-point lead. They're making picks for Bostic again, and Andy just can't come up with it. Each trip down, they have been running plays to free Andy Bostic.
Bostic is unable to put the ball in the basket so far here in the second half, getting some good looks. He does have one basket in the second half.
Chris Davis. Taken away by Ellswick. And Ellswick bringing it down.
South Carolina has slowed the game to their pace, but they have to start getting some points as well.
Davis with the overplay. Van Ellswick does retrieve it. Rich with a baseline move. The Gamecocks shoot poorly. They are in deep trouble. Flanagan.
Beautiful break and ball movement between Flanagan and Ray Donald. Donald with a nice assist to Wes Flanagan.
It is essential that this South Carolina team shoot well in the second half if they are to have any chance. When their shooting percentages drop into the low 40s, it usually means big-time trouble.
They're really struggling right now.
There was an unforced error as Moochie Norris was trying to make the baseball pass, but it fell incomplete. It's one of the rare occasions when Cliff Ellis had that kind of look on his face after a pass by Moochie. 47-32. There's the move by Rich. Watson off the dribble. Gets it to go.
Big basket for South Carolina. They really needed that. They're struggling so offensively. And Cliff Ellis and the Auburn Tigers, Cliff Ellis knows how to defend this North Carolina system that Eddie Fogler runs. So you would expect Auburn to do a good job of defending South Carolina.
7 for Melvin Watson. Moochie Norris can't hit. Stack gets tied up with Williams, and it's a travel on Ryan Stack. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a BP best player from each team. In addition to recognizing our 2 best players, BP and its dealers will contribute $2,000 to the Southeastern Conference to be distributed among the member institutions' general scholarship funds under a conference-approved plan. Back in a moment to the Georgia Dome in Atlanta.
Give people quality faucets at reasonable prices, and they will come back and buy your sinks. Give people quality sinks at reasonable prices, and they'll come back and buy your bathtubs. Give people quality bathtubs at reasonable prices, and they will come back and buy your toilets. Give people quality toilets at reasonable prices, and they will come back and buy your shower doors. That's the Sterling way, and that's the American way. This is Sam Davis, Vice Chairman for Sterling. Thank you.
Here in the Outback, we play our own brand of football. Outback rules. No sidelines. No time limits. No tell him which way the boomerang will bounce. Just the ultimate goal. Great steak. Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
Power, BC Power.
When you're working hard, you can be in all kinds of pain.
Power, BC Power.
The same BC that stops headache pain stops all kinds of pain.
BC Power in the powder. House of BC.
When you're in a world of hurt, nothing stops pain faster than BC.
The power of BC.
At Larry Puckett Chevrolet Geo in Prattville, they let their customers do the talking.
I shopped around Montgomery, Autauga, and Elmore County, and I feel I found the best deal at Larry Puckett. In fact, it's my second trip to Larry Puckett, and I know I got the best deal.
If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or van, come to the dealer who listens to you.
At Larry Puckett Chevrolet Geo in Prattville, they really let the customers do the talking.
Larry Puckett Chevrolet Geo in Prattville.
Here is an MCI proof positive instant replay.
You see 4 South Carolina Gamecocks hitting the boards, and that allows Auburn to get out in transition in a beautiful ball handling maneuver there by Flanagan and Donald to get the easy basket. And that's proof positive that the Auburn Tigers can handle it in transition.
47-34 our score, a 13-point lead. South Carolina here in the second, 2 out of 6. Auburn shooting a paltry percentage as well after hitting at a 50% clip in the opening half. The pace of the game has definitely slowed to a South Carolina tempo, but they are not converting on the other end.
Really need to start hitting on those opportunities and cut this lead down. Want to get it inside 10 by the time there are about 10 minutes left in the ball game.
Donald with a pretty good look into Williams. Gives it back up. Ryan Stack brings it down.
Donald got bumped a little bit by Malik Russell, but no call, and South Carolina scores.
Watson does it on his own.
Melvin Watson, member of the SEC All-Freshman team, and well-deserved. A very good point guard for the South Carolina Gamecocks.
He has 9 on the afternoon. Davis explodes in the paint.
A clinic on zone attacks by the Auburn Tigers. Move the ball well, dribble penetration, and end up with great looks at the basket.
Nice move by Unsold. William Unsold. Bowling Green, Kentucky, played for Florence Central. Flanagan off the back iron. Rich runs it down. Get it in his hands, and usually things will go properly. Unsold on the baseline. A little more rhythm now for this South Carolina offense.
Yeah, South Carolina attacking very well against Auburn, and Cliff Ellis wants to talk a little bit.
A little shock treatment timeout coming from Coach Ellis. This will be a 20.
And the pace starts to pick up a little bit, and South Carolina is starting to score a few points. They've cut it to 9. 13 minutes and change left to go in the half.
Don't forget, coming up later tonight, session 2 of the Southeastern Conference first day, Tennessee and Alabama. Ole Miss and Florida coming your way on many of these same Jefferson Pilot sports stations. Tom Hammond and Larry Connolly will have it for you. Bob Kessling and Dave Baker will add to the show. Make your plans to be with us. And certainly Melvin Watson may be a showstopper in the days that follow. This freshman has really become a much better player by season's end.
Watson is superb, and this SEC tournament has really held form the last few years. I think we should see some surprises this year.
Hurt, not there. Unseld brings it down.
Here come the Gamecocks trying to get back into this ball game. and doing it defensively, doing a nice job of shutting down Auburn so far here in the second half.
1-4 set now for Melvin Watson. They leave him wide open. Mucci didn't get over, and he'll bury those.
Huge basket by Melvin Watson on a nice play. Get the rear screen and Watson open from the three-point line. South Carolina back in it.
An 11-2 run now for the Gamecocks. Van Elswick and Bostic will come in on the next dead ball. Stack, the last to touch that one as Norris was trying the entry for Pat Burke.
Looks like Burke may have gotten a hand on it as it sailed out of bounds. A break for Auburn.
Stack and Russell lead the game as Bostic and Van Elswick re-enter. Mucci Norris will trigger it in. We've got a shirt tail problem here for Ray Donald. That's why we're experiencing this work stoppage.
Yeah, you got to get the uniforms right. That's important.
When you see how low the pants go, it makes you wonder why it's necessary to worry about the shirt tail, right?
Yeah, it's true. You don't even need shorts.
2 on the shot clock. Mucci!
Oh, big basket by Mucci. Big play. Shot clock winding down. Norris gets in close to get that little jumper down.
51-43. Rich runs the curl off the pick from Van Elswick. Donald brings it down. Eddie Fogler wanted a foul. He didn't get it as Andy Bostic hit the deck. Norris with the ball fake. A leaner. Oh, my. He is special, isn't he?
He certainly is, and he's ending the drought. These are big baskets that Mucci Norris is making to get Auburn back on track.
And Ellswood taking some pressure from Burke, and Pat Burke now has 4.
Got Van Elswick 30 feet from the basket, and Pat Burke steps out and hacks it. Not a smart play for Burke.
The Tigers respond to the Gamecocks run and lead by 10 with 11:36 to play.
The new Chrysler Cirrus is built on 2 steel rails that run from front to rear, making the body extremely stiff for responsive handling. Only Cirrus combines this rail-through construction with cab-forward design for the complete optimization of ride handling characteristics. And this is where that becomes more than engineering jargon. The Chrysler Cirrus, Motor Trend's car of the year. It's not just a step above, it's the new plateau.
Considering what your business has to figure,
25 or 30. How much time we got left?
you may not have figured that if your business uses AT&T, you're probably on the wrong calling plan. Over half of AT&T's customers are, which is why hundreds of thousands of businesses are trading in AT&T and investing in proof. MCI will analyze your AT&T bill and give you proof positive, written proof of how much your business can save by switching to MCI, proving once again the only savings that are true are the ones you can see.
In Normal, Illinois, Gene Goebel is popular with folks who need their car fixed. He does good work, and he doesn't charge an arm and a leg. Because when he needs auto parts, Gene buys a lot of them at AutoZone. You see, the prices are low every day at AutoZone. So a lot of good mechanics like Gene just pass the savings on to their customers. Plus, they can still get the best quality parts. Sure, they know how to do the work right, but they also know how to save money doing it at AutoZone.
53-43, a 10-point lead for the Auburn Tigers. Mucci Norris taking advantage.
Some guys run off and hide when things start to go poorly, and some guys go find the basketball, and Mucci Norris making 2 big baskets for Auburn to end an 11-2 drought that they just suffered through. Mucci Norris, a tough ball player, a lot of confidence.
Plays the game while smacking that gum. Foul on Donald, trying to check Watson.
Well, Melvin Watson just always seems to make the right decision. Win the pass against the double team, win the dribble out of it. Just a super point guard as a freshman.
Get the ball in the corner. Here comes the pressure. Watson, a leaner, won't go. Norris leads the break. Bad pass that time, a little behind Donald, but he manages the retrieve, only to lose it to Bostic. Cliff Ellis wanted a foul.
Good job by Van Elswick. Stayed on the floor and blocked that shot.
Again, they set up for isolation. Watson on Norris. Gary Rich off the dribble. Unsold on the offensive glass. Counted and a foul. A rare offensive putback for the Gamecocks.
And the South Carolina guards creating some havoc against the Auburn pressure defense. Watson over to Rich, and Rich gets the double team, misses the shot, but that leaves Unseld open under the basket for the rebound and putback.
Younger cousin of Wes Unseld, he'd be awfully proud of that maneuver on the offensive end. You can really tell that he's improved his game as well.
And he is another player for South Carolina that's playing with a lot of confidence. The South Carolina system takes a little while to get used to it, and their players usually improve as the season goes.
Did you see Melvin Watson jump out of the gym for that rebound? Team fouls. Auburn has committed far more. South Carolina should be able to get to the line the rest of the way, and that could be very important.
And they need to convert here in the second half. South Carolina tried to run their little backdoor play that time, and Van Elswick just pitched it right out of bounds. Not quite sure exactly what he was thinking, and Eddie Fogler is unsure as well.
Eddie Fogler, when a player comes over there, he'll give him that look, and you're seeing it now. Well, what was that? You know, it's like, well, are you kidding me? What's that?
He's letting him hear it. I don't know what Van Elswick was doing.
No response would ever work. I mean,
really?
Dialogue is not the order of the day in that situation.
Sorry, Coach.
Flanagan into the game now for Auburn. Ray Donald taking a seat. Norris gets his man airborne. Oh, that's a nice move. Doesn't go for him. And Kerry Rich brings it down. Numbers, but he'll pull it back out. Fear of Moochie brought that move about.
Good hustle by the Auburn Tigers. They really get back on defensive end. Run well as a team.
Kerry Rich. Stack keeping it alive. Ryan Stack, count it, and a foul.
Great job by Ryan Stack battling to get the basketball. Auburn seeing their lead slip away. South Carolina hitting the offensive glass, getting some easy baskets. Kerry Rich wide open on the three-point attempt, and Ryan Stack slight in stature, but going strong to get the basketball in the putback. Stack, you can see he is very slender, needs to put on some weight, but big enough to come up with that offensive rebound. A big three-point play opportunity for South Carolina.
Doesn't convert. Boston keeps it alive. Last touched it, and it'll be Auburn's basketball.
You see the South Carolina team playing with a lot more confidence. They're much more active here in the second half.
Moments into this second half, Auburn had a 15-point lead. 44 seconds deep into this half. It's now dwindled down to 5. Davis looking for Burke. Out of bounds, last touch by Malik Russell. Moochie Norris will trigger it in with 17 on the shot clock.
A few minutes ago, Moochie Norris ended an 11-2 South Carolina run with a couple of quick baskets. Let's see who comes up with the big plays now when Auburn needs it.
It's amazing that Lance Weems is still yet to score. I mean, it is the leading scorer on this team. Norris can't get that one to go, and Stack brings it down. Unseld doing a much better job of keeping the ball alive. Out of bounds to Auburn.
The Gamecocks very active on the offensive boards, unlike their first half when they were totally dominated by Auburn on the glass. South Carolina hustling and coming up with some loose balls.
Bostic taking a seat. Davis loses it on the deck. We have a tie ball with the arrow to South Carolina. Now, this is a team playing with some fire in their eyes here in the second half.
And what a difference a half made. Chris Davis, that time, kind of a lackadaisical move in traffic, forced them to lose the basketball, and South Carolina is going to get possession as they are bouncing around and showing a lot of confidence, thinking they can win this ball game.
This Auburn team, there are many that would tell you, pundits of the SEC, that this team, were they to win this game today, could really offer a challenge to Kentucky. But those same pundits would tell you getting past South Carolina may be more difficult than some might think.
And this is a huge game for Auburn. They're trying to work their way into the NCAA tournament. Think if they can beat Kentucky tomorrow, that they're in the NCAA.
Davis picks up the foul. Well, the point that Cliff Ellis made in an interview earlier today with our Dave Baker was that, hey, if we had beaten Arkansas, we would have been 500 in the league. We would have also been able to say we had 5 wins over 8 top 25 teams. In 8 games against top 25 competition, we would have won 5 of those games. As it stands now, you could still make that case were the Tigers able to get past Kentucky in the second round of this tournament and move forward.
They're getting all they want from the Gamecocks this afternoon. South Carolina is pulled within 3.
Timeout. 7:48 to play. We're going down to the wire in game 2 of the SEC tournament.
Joe, our nationwide insurance agent, said it reminded him of his first house. It needed a little work.
Patty and her husband got their friends together.
We got the place looking great.
Yeah, I was able to help a little. I mean, since they now have a homeowner's policy with Nationwide, I could offer them a home car discount.
It was a really nice little housewarming gift. I'm glad Joe saved us money because we still have a few little things need to be fixed up, like
Nationwide is on your side.
Advance Auto Parts presents part number 14, the brain. An active brain, like those found in Advance Auto Parts salespeople, is capable of analyzing any automotive problem.
I can't understand why I'm losing compression.
In a millisecond, the brain is working, computing options, calculating dimensions, until it comes up with the solution, allowing part number 12, the hand, to take over. Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people.
Folks, it's March Magic and Blood Strange. I'm the Magic Man, here to show you how to save, what to save, where to save. Drive out a Ford Escort, $99 down, $99 a month. It's magic. $99 down, $99 a month. Save thousands on Contour and Ford Taurus. Hungry buyers standing by to purchase your trade, plus area bank personnel on hand for instant credit approval. Bring your title or payment book. Blood Strange will pay off your trade no matter what you owe. It's a magic weekend this weekend at Blood Strange, where everyday low prices just got more.
53-50 Auburn take the Gillette 3-point challenge. To enter, look for the Gillette coupons in last Sunday's newspaper or Gillette displays at participating retailers. It's your shot at $1 million. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Down by 15, 44 seconds deep into the second half. South Carolina has clawed away at this Tigers lead. And Eddie Fogler's club down only 3. I think he had the same look on his face when he was down 15.
Yeah, he did. He did.
South Carolina has out-rebounded Auburn 14-9 in the second half, in sharp contrast to the first 20 minutes.
Auburn dominated the offensive glass and defensive glass in the first half.
Flanagan with 5 on the shot. Big hoop. 55-50.
Tough shot by Wes Flanagan. That jump stop and then went straight up and dropped in that jumper.
He has 4 in the game.
Mismatch down low.
Watson needs help.
Malik Russell down low, matched up against Flanagan. Can South Carolina get it to him?
Here's the high pick from Stack. Malik Russell on the wing. Staying with it. Norris gets it out for Flanagan. Great instincts by Norris. Just super instincts by him.
Very smart play. He knew where everyone was on the court, knew he had a player out in the open, and just pitched it ahead for the easy basket for Flanagan.
57-50. 4 quickies for Auburn to respond to the South Carolina run. And that'll be a walk. A little high anxiety from Melvin Watson there, turning it over.
South Carolina all of a sudden starting to struggle offensively.
Now, Lance Weems has failed to scratch in this game. Leading scorer for Auburn. 57-50. Tigers with the lead.
Well, Auburn has amazing balance. They have 7 players who are averaging between 8.6 and 13.8 points a game. So they're the kind of team that don't really rely on just one player.
You're right, but he hasn't really looked for his shot either.
He hasn't. That's true, and that's really surprising from the senior.
Flanagan. The iron unkind to Wes Flanagan. Burke with a follow.
Nice little push-off by Pat Burke to come up with that basketball, and then he hammers it home. South Carolina, just a few moments ago, they were so active coming up with the basketball, and now Auburn has reclaimed control of this basketball game.
Watson, baseline drive, leaves it for Unsworth. Burke taps it out of there.
South Carolina again settling for a jump shot, and they are not the type of team that can get away with that. Not a very good perimeter shooting club. They need to get the ball going to the basket.
A tough pass. Davis into Flanagan. That will be a player control foul against Wes Flanagan. Bostic and Van Elswick will check back into the game. That's 2 on Wes Flanagan. Ryan Stack and Malik Russell check out for South Carolina. Chris Davis back into the fray. Norris is on the floor along with Burke, Flanagan, Ray Donald, and Moochie Norris for Auburn. Van Elswick loses it. Flanagan, a nice job of not double dribbling that time.
Yeah, or at least of concealing.
Yeah, exactly. Ray Donald a 3. A 9-point run. 9-0 spurt by Auburn to respond to South Carolina cutting it to 3.
And we'll see if South Carolina has one more run left in them as we're getting down to the wire.
Rich. Unsold again. Peter Van Elswick. Bostic. Boy, they are very active on the offensive boards.
Hammering the offensive glass, and that's what they've been missing the last few minutes of this ball game, getting those easy opportunities, and that's 3 shots inside for South Carolina.
Lance Weems has had some games when he's been scoreless. Georgia and Vandy, he did not stretch in those games as he watches from the sidelines this afternoon. Flanagan, big time jump step, leaves it for Donald.
Nice little jumper from Ray Donald out of that corner. Very difficult shot. That little 7-foot pull-up jumper when you can't go to the glass.
You like that penetration and jump stop from Flanagan?
Nice move, drawing the defense.
And the jumper's not falling for South Carolina. Another dry spell for them.
Moochie taking control. Slowing things down for Auburn as they're starting to battle the clock a little bit.
Cliff Ellis wanted a foul on Bostic. Thought he might have been hand checking. Out of bounds, 12 seconds on the shot clock when we come back. 64-52. Tigers by a dozen. 9-0 spurt in this sequence.
What you gonna catch with that, Pop?
The big one!
It's the biggest splash of the year. Sony's Seafood Celebration. 5 new seafood dinners. Try our New Orleans shrimp, sourdough breaded scallops, blackened cod, or shrimp scampi. But you'd better hurry. These fish are flying.
That'd be a keeper.
When you grow up in the American Southwest, once a day you feel a soul-shaking sense of awe. And there's another feeling you get when the sun disappears. You're scared out of your ever-loving mind. Or maybe that's what inspired La Quinta to make their inn so friendly. Outside, they're lit up against the night sky. And inside, a soft splash is about the only sound you'll hear. Shh. La Quinta Inns. Why aren't you here?
While every Plymouth Neon is born to be friendly, we've found a way to make them even friendlier. Get up to $600 cash back, plus up to $600 in package values for up to $1,200 off. Or get interest rates as low as 4.9%. All that and dual airbags make Plymouth Neon about as friendly as it gets. Say hello to Plymouth Neon. At the Preferred Option Sale, now at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
64-52, Auburn by a dozen. Tim Brando along with Barry Booker. It's time now for the Pizza Hut You'll Love This Stuff play.
And here's Pat Burke getting away with a little shove down low as you see William Unseld flying out of your screen, and Pat Burke with a big dunk follow. And that's our Pizza Hut stuff of the ball game.
Moochie Norris will trigger it in. Flanagan, who has really taken charge during this most recent run. It was Moochie Norris that answered the first South Carolina run, and Flanagan is backcourt mate doing it this time. And now Moochie back into the act. He has 16 in the game.
You're exactly right. Wes Flanagan with some nice penetration moves in this last few sequences.
Rich knocks it down. He gets the three, 66-55. South Carolina must pump up the volume defensively. Donald can't hit. Rich with the outlet to Bostic. Only Moochie Norris back, and Bostic takes advantage, and a quick 20-second timeout called by Eddie Fulton.
I'm sure that shot by Ray Donald is not what Cliff Ellis is looking for. Donald takes a quick three-point shot, leading to a South Carolina basket on the other end. Auburn leads it by 9 here as we're getting down to the wire here. 2.5 minutes to play, and South Carolina trying to increase the defensive pressure, force some turnovers, and come up with some big plays and get back into this ball game late.
Bob Fulton, the voice of the South Carolina Gamecocks. This is his 1156th game. 43 years as announcer with South Carolina. This could be his final broadcast for the Gamecocks Network. It's always a pleasure and an honor to chat with him. They had the occasion to honor him in the final home game, and his banner, much like Haywood Ledford's in Lexington, will continue to fly in South Carolina, and our congratulations to him. Recently married, he and his wife will enjoy the good life the rest of the way.
And Bob Fulton has done 512 consecutive ball games. He's only missed 3 South Carolina basketball games in his career over the last 43 years.
Gary Rich picked up the foul. His third. No one back. And here's Davis.
Chris Davis, the big reverse, and a great look by Ray Donald down court to find Davis open for the easy basket.
The lead back to 11. South Carolina was able to cut it to 3 at one point, 53-50. Watson for 3. Burke, the outlet to Donald. Donald goes end to end and will draw the foul from Melvin Watson. His fourth.
The Auburn Tigers like to play a fast tempo game, and they just can't slow down. We're inside 2 minutes, and they're trying to protect the lead, but they see an opportunity to get to the basket, and Ray Donald takes advantage.
Well, they will need to play that kind of tempo in order to fend off the Big Blue tomorrow.
Kentucky handed them their worst defeat of the season, a 34-point blowout up in Lexington. Auburn with a chance to get revenge tomorrow if they can hold on here.
South Carolina team is one that will change its complexion tremendously in a year's time.
South Carolina has really overachieved this year. No one expected anything out of this ball club, playing with only 8 scholarship players for much of the year. So quite an accomplishment to get 10 wins out of this ball club.
Norris loses it to Rich. He was trying for the break. Terry did a nice job. To Bostic. And the timeout. Still time for Eddie Fogler. They're not giving up. 1:34 left. Tigers by 10. We'll be back after this word from your local SEC station.
To pre-treating, Liquid Cheer really hits the spot.
I'll have the fried green tomatoes, please. All right. Hi, I'm Vanny Flagg, and I have good news for those of you who weren't born yesterday. Because if you are eligible for Medicare, you can get C+ right now. Thanks. It's the Medicare supplement from the most trusted name in health benefits, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama. I know my family's always depended on Blue Cross because they've been around since I was a very little girl, and we all know how long ago that was. And with C+, you can have fewer out-of-pocket expenses, the widest choice of doctors and hospitals, and no waiting period for pre-existing conditions. So call 1-800-315-7900. That number is 1-800-315-7900. And get C+ from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama. After all, there should be some good benefits to age and experience.
Today's SEC action has been brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the Nationwide agent nearest you. By MCI, the company that brings you proof positive. And by Chrysler and the new Chrysler Cirrus Sports Sedan.
Tim Brando, Barry Booker, happy to have you with us for Game 2 of the first session of the Southeastern Conference Tournament. Now, who's the loneliest guy in the Georgia Dome?
Got to be Larry Conley.
Yeah. He is the loneliest guy in the Georgia Dome. Now, you'd figure a guy with his popularity would have an opportunity to perhaps have someone to sit with, but not Larry.
Make a few friends.
You know,
it's amazing.
A lot of times when you're on the road with Larry, you'd think you're on a float because he's waving to everybody in the building. But tonight, this afternoon, no one to sit with. Burke knocks it down.
Chris Davis with a dish. Pat Burke with a hammer.
71-59. Bostic for 3. Andy Bostic having a much better second half after struggling with his shot early in the game. Makes it 71-62 and another timeout. Speaking of Larry, he'll be busy tonight with Tom Hammond as they bring you the Tennessee-Alabama game. And Ole Miss will take on Florida. All of that coming up tonight. He is the busiest man in sports television this time of year. Wave, Larry.
Man is everywhere.
Give us a wave. Come on, Larry. Wave to everybody.
He's not falling for this.
He won't fall for it, will he?
Savvy. He's experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
A veteran.
No question. I was working with Joe Dean Jr. earlier today, and I was thinking during the course of the regular season, whenever Tom Hammond worked with Joe Jr., he must have felt like he was in a time war. You know?
Yeah, it's flashback time.
Let's take a look at our BP best players for today's game. Kerry Rich, 16 points, 3 boards on 6 of 14 shooting. Chris Davis had 19, look at that, 19 points with 15 rebounds, most impressive, and a couple of quick steals. He helped set the tempo for Cliff Ellis's team in the first half.
Yeah, had 11 rebounds in the first half and really set the tone for this whole ball game. A great job for the Auburn Tigers as they start to think a little bit about the Kentucky Wildcats tomorrow, I'm sure.
Conventional wisdom, Barry, is that 5 teams are going to get in. But if there's a 6th, it might be either Auburn or Florida if they happen to run the table. And if they happen to run the table and Georgia loses out of the gates in their game, which could potentially be against Alabama, then maybe Auburn or Florida sneak in there to that 5th spot or maybe even the 6th.
Yeah, the Georgia Bulldogs really need to come up with a W tomorrow as they move into action.
They'll play the winner of that Tennessee-Alabama game. Quick fouls coming now for South Carolina as they try to extend this game. They've got some to give. Ray Donald will trigger it in. Wingate is checked into the game for the first time. Defensive substitution. And there's another quick foul.
Tim, you mentioned running the table. There's only been one team to play on the first day of the SEC tournament and go on to win the thing, and that was the 1985 Auburn Tigers with Chuck Person and that crowd. These Auburn Tigers want to see if they can get the same thing done.
If you'll recall, that was an Auburn team that managed to make it all the way to the Final 8, losing to the eventual national champion Louisville Cardinals, an 86 team that would go on in that particular year. And I think that season there were 3 teams from the Southeastern Conference that made it to the, there were 4 teams that made it to the Sweet 16 and 3 that were in the Final 8. Kentucky, LSU, and Auburn. And LSU knocked off Kentucky in a surprise here in Atlanta in that particular regional to go to the Final 4 in Dallas. Watson. And Norris hits the deck. Got that one right in the chest.
Staggered.
Yeah. That's Melvin Watson's 5th. Oh, he'll have to check himself after that one.
Yeah, he's going to need the standing 8 after taking this shoulder from Melvin Watson right in the chest. He's moving pretty well now. Looks like he's going to recover.
Melvin fouls out with 12 points. He did play well today, though, and I think the optimism for the future is embodied in that man right there. He'll have a lot of friends that can help his cause next year.
Very bright future for the Gamecocks. And this should be the end of the lean days for South Carolina.
Quick foul on Malik Russell. His 4th. One of the reasons why Auburn is considered a team that could give Kentucky trouble is for the very reason you mentioned, that worst defeat. That was quite a beating that they took at Rupp.
And that was a close game with about 5 minutes to go. Auburn was within 6 points, and then they just collapsed at the end of the ball game. Kentucky pressure just wore them down. Auburn doesn't have a lot of numbers. So catching a team like Kentucky early in this SEC tournament will be helpful for Auburn.
And they have to have the confidence that they can play with the big boys after sweeping Mississippi State and nearly sweeping Arkansas. They were up 15 with 6 to play in that game, and things fell apart. And they wound up losing by 2. And that was, of course, the final home regular season game of the year in Fayetteville for the Razorbacks.
Auburn Tigers playing well and will certainly be highly motivated tomorrow, probably playing for an NCAA tournament bid.
Rich losing the glass. This win will get Cliff Ellis to 16 on the season. If you win 18, and you have all of those wins over teams with top 25 rankings, you will have a case for the tournament selection committee. We'll be back.
It's happening. Only the people who invented America's best-selling minivans could have a sale like this. The Chrysler Plymouth National Minivan Sale is here. Get $1,000 cash back on Plymouth Voyager, Roomy or Grand Voyager, and Chrysler Town & Country. Chrysler minivan owners get an extra $500 back. Add that to option package values and get up to $2,600 off. But it won't last long. The Chrysler Plymouth National Minivan Sale. Only at the minivan store at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Give people quality faucets at reasonable prices, and they will come back and buy your sinks. Give people quality sinks at reasonable prices, and they'll come back and buy your bathtubs. Give people quality bathtubs at reasonable prices, and they will come back and buy your toilets. Give people quality toilets at reasonable prices, and they will come back and buy your shower doors. That's the Sterling way, and that's the American way. This is Sam Davis, Vice Chairman for Sterling. Thank you.
A little Auburn fanfare from the pep band. 75-64, an 11-point Auburn lead.
Nothing beats this SEC tournament atmosphere. This is a lot of fun.
South Carolina coming to the end of their season. Tough road for Eddie Fogler getting this program underway, but as I mentioned earlier, it will be a hot ticket in Columbia. The Frank McGuire Arena will be rocking next year. Flanagan. And the foul. Tommy Eads has the call. And the clock stops. 37.8 seconds. Bostic picking up that foul. Rich comes back in. Sean Wingate checks out. The key to South Carolina's emergence under Eddie Fogler is recruiting in-state. So many quality players from the state of South Carolina through the years had gotten away. He has rectified that problem.
South Carolina really going to turn some heads and do some damage as we move forward. And we mentioned earlier, the SEC is really coming on. South Carolina going to make considerable improvement. Tennessee and Kevin O'Neal going to turn some people's heads next year as well.
Russell picks up another foul as Donald hits the deck with 23.2 left.
South Carolina fouls on number 32, Malik Russell.
Malik Russell picks up his fifth, and that'll be it for Malik. The junior from Brooklyn will sit down. There's 2 points for him today. The wheels began to come off this team this season after the loss of Donnie Matthews. So many people have forgotten about that. You know, that things really did come apart.
And that created their numbers problem. Eddie Fogler went through this last year with only 8 players, and this year started the season with Donnie Matthews and Norm Green both leaving the team within 3 days of each other.
Yeah, Donnie Green, Norm Green, I beg your pardon, quit just to concentrate on academics. I mean, and this was a player that was going to see a lot of playing time.
No question. No question. So Eddie Fogler trying to get it turned around, but running into a few roadblocks, but he's going to overcome. And South Carolina will be an excellent basketball team.
Rich, a scoop to the hoop and Stack with the follow. They cut it to 3, and then Auburn had the quick burst to end it. And there's the exclamation point and the collapse by Davis.
Chris Davis can play the game, and he was outstanding all day today.
It's over, and Auburn wins and advances in the SEC tournament. Kind words for Eddie Fogler from Cliff Ellis. Two coaches that are giving, I think, a pump of great adrenaline to this league.
The Southeastern Conference is really becoming a coaches' league, and those two guys are really helping in that area.
Those are the people responsible for making our game